One of the things that we wanted to talk about was Essex. We're in Essex, of course, for those who don't know, in Southend-On-Sea at the moment. Venues in Southend and Essex have changed, closed, as of course a lot of them have. I think there's 1,500 venues have closed across the country in the last 18 months. So it's a national thing. But we live in Southend, Essex, so a lot of places have closed around here. So in the 90s, when obviously the indie music particularly was obviously at possibly its peak, you had a lot of little clubs knocking around. So the Y Club in Chelmsford, which was above the YMCA, which was pretty tiny, and I saw bands like Dodgy. They've had Muse have been there, Radiohead have been there, lots of bands like that. The Esplanade in Southend, the first ever gig by
Pearl
Jam.
Pearl Jam.
Essex gig in England was there. Again, they've had some brilliant bands there. There's been lots of places that maybe have closed, and even like the Railway in Southend was closed.
Yeah.
Various other places. Live music now, again, do they have somewhere to go as much as they used to? I don't know. Obviously, Chinnerys opened up on the back of Esplanade closing, but yeah, I think it's not easy.
I think Chinnerys has been around longer than that.
Chinnerys has been going 21 years, because I was chatting to Glyn in the bar the other night when they took it over from the Esplanade.
Yeah, because Glyn used to run the Esplanade.
Glyn used to run the Esplanade.
Like the really long one.
Yeah, the one that's now a trendy block of flats overlooking the sea, and then but burnt down in mysterious circumstances. So Glyn took over Chinnerys, and Simon, both of them took over Chinnerys 21 years ago when they were looking for somewhere new. So I've only lived in Essex 21 years, actually. I moved here when Chinnerys opened, so I don't really know the Esplanade. The Esplanade was there, but it was just a bar, I think, at the time. So the only place, I don't really know Essex. I've come from south of the river. So Chinnerys is basically the only local place I know around here, which is a bit sad. I should know some more of them. Yeah. Obviously, there's the Colchester Arts venue, which is infamous because Blur started out up there, and I believe that's the same sort of size as Chinnerys, 400. But I don't know. I don't go to gigs in Chelmsford or anywhere else, to be honest. So I don't really know of any.
I guess
were there loads? I could interview you on this, couldn't I? Because you're an Essex man through and through. John, were there loads of Chinnerys type venues? I don't know, within a 10-mile radius of where we are now.
Not so much Chinnerys, but there were a lot of pubs, and of course pubs aren't the same anymore. They've closed. There's more bars, isn't it? But pubs used to have bands on every night, different genres, different sizes. So there would be. I think that's one thing that's changed. But that's probably because pubs have closed, and it's also probably because people don't go out every night of the week anymore. Whereas maybe once upon a time they did.
So are you saying like 20 years ago in this area? Because now obviously there is music in pubs, but it tends to be cover bands and tribute bands.
Yeah.
So you're saying that your normal pub that would have live music would have original bands rather than just the covers and the tributes?
Yeah, and certainly, again, the Railway in Southend was probably the most famous, but the Grand in Lee, the Grand they used to have some covers bands, but wouldn't it just be that? And there'd be several rooms, and you might even have two bands on the same night in different rooms. You'd certainly get that at the Railway.
Right.
So those things don't happen now. So you used to be able to go, a bit like London, Southend had a place where you could go every night of the week and see a live band.
Okay.
In one place or another.
And it would be an original band.
Be mainly originals.
Yeah.
May not always, but generally originals. You'd be able to see someone somewhere.
Because I can understand the demographics of pubs and breweries, that they want to get the punters in, so they're going to put on easy stuff such as covers and tributes.
Yeah.
So for a pub to not maybe specialise is the wrong word, but to focus on original music has got to be quite rare. Whereas maybe 20 years ago it wasn't so rare.
Yeah, and I think a lot of bands again. The Grand and the Railway. You play for you play for free, and you go around with your pot at the end, and you get a few quid out of it. And that's how you sort of finance it. And bands would come and go. Sometimes they'd have all day bands on an evening. You had 3 or 4 bands, and you could rock up, play your set to people, and then off you go again, and maybe go and play somewhere else, because that was a kind of feel it had.
That's what we saw in the Lock Tavern in Camden about a year ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Where there was a brilliant solo musician playing, and he would do. We're chatting to him. He would do 2 or 3 pubs in a night.
Yeah.
Now you don't see that around here at
Don't
all.
see that.
But maybe that's a Camden thing. But you're saying that
Yeah,
way back in the day, you
I-
get a band playing in the afternoon, and then they would go and play in another venue
Somewhere else, yeah.
somewhere else in the evening.
I think for me, obviously we love Camden. We can get to Camden in an hour and 15. Southend and this area felt like a mini Camden in the 90s.
Okay.
That you had the same kind of feel because of the amount of venues all having something on. Whereas that's not happening now.
Which is a shame because Southend's got a rich musical heritage as far
Yes.
as bands are concerned.
Very much
a lot
so.
of bands have come out of Southend and the local environs.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Kurzweil once was one of those, and there was a lot of talk recently of it being taken over by a community venue again and having bands on.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that will come off, but yeah, it was very much festivals, bands, and that. So that's something which is, quite a shame that that's changed. And there were some favourite venues. I mean, I used to love the Y Club because it was so small. And
Where was that?
That was in Chelmsford, above the YMCA.
Oh, okay.
And literally in the 90s again, say Radiohead, Muse, they all played there. I saw Dodgy there. There was Feed I saw there.
And was that a Chinnerys type venue, that 400 cap?
Yeah, no, smaller than that.
Really? And they had Radiohead and all those people?
I reckon it was
Blimey.
150. But again, every night of the week there was bands on because it was, I don't know whether it was because there was more bands or whether people just went out more or I don't know. But nowadays, bands won't tour the same.
No.
They won't do those little gigs that they perhaps used to do. I don't know. But again, that's changed, isn't it? Bands now will put the music out for free and they obviously make their money from gigs. Again, years ago, when I followed bands in the 80s and 90s, tours went on for 3 or 4 months. They went around to every town in the country.
That's true.
Now it makes you laugh when you see a band put up, we're going on a tour, and they put 5 dates up. The UK tour, 5 days. And that's not a tour.
That's a little jolly.
It's a little jolly.
That's to do with the cost, though.
It probably is.
Could be cost.
But can't a band, again, and if I'm not in a band, I know you're in a band. If I was in a band, I'd want to pack my van up, and I'd play as many live gigs as possible. Because playing live is the thing to do, isn't it? It's what we'd all would love to do. It must be the biggest buzz, but they don't just do it enough. And I know it's production and all that, but do we really care about the production? Do we actually just want to see the band play live and?
Yeah.
Well, the first problem with that is you've got to get a van. I know, like.
I mean,
you could
don't
get a
forget,
van.
I mean-
know a lot of smaller bands that. I know some bands where their booking agents have, like, initially bought them a van when they've just started, as they've seen it as an investment. Because once you have that van, you can.
But don't forget, I mean,
you can just travel around.
Well, that's true.
Bands do not make any money out of records anymore because it's all streaming. So the main income for any band, be it small, medium or mega stars, is touring.
Yeah.
That's the only way they're making any money because record sales, album sales, it's all streamed these days, sadly. So that's the only way that touring is. So because touring is the only way of making money, you thought they would do more.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah. But they don't.
No.
No.
Yeah, I mean, it's mainly live, I'd say, that you're making your money. But obviously, you still got like sync and like publishing. That's like very big, but it's mainly for bigger artists, really.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
even for a small, so you play in a band, you play different bands. I would have thought, and I know it's again, they're still not easy, but I would have thought a lot of bands would just love the fact that they've got to get themselves out there. So social media obviously helps, but playing venues to half dozen people, 20 people, 30 people, slowly building it up, it's got to be the way to do it. But
Yeah,
it doesn't. I
that's
don't know
what you
whether bands want to put that effort in.
That's what you got more enjoyment out. Is enjoying making a record, but nothing beats the live music experience and watching the expression on the faces of the people you're playing to.
I saw a very good interview recently with Noel Gallagher, who was interviewed by Parkinson's. That was a little while ago, and he said that touring the toilets, as he called it,
toilet circuit,
was the best part of being in a band. So that because you did it because you wanted to. You'd pull up. There might only be 20 people there. There might be one person there, but it was all part of you enjoyed that bit, getting in the van with your mates and doing those because you wanted to do it. He said when you're older and more successful, you tour not because you want to do it. because you have to do it. And those days, he said, are the best days of being in a band. But I don't know whether people will do that now. I said we did talk about earlier about bands like the Kairos and Casino running around all over the country. So it does happen, but I don't know whether it happens
enough or as much as it should do, considering that's the only way of making any money is touring.
Yeah. And getting, I mean, social media is good and ideal for certain things, but it doesn't.
It's probably taken a lot of that away.
Yeah, you don't get the feel though, do you? No. You only get the feel when you go to see a band. And finding, we want to talk about discovering bands that you wouldn't go to. So when we go to see a band that we know, like the Kairos tonight, we want to get there early to see the support band or maybe one or two, because you want to discover who that is. And that's the band we're just talking about, who have piled everything in the back of their own van, or they've hired or whatever, and they're sleeping in the van sometimes, travelling overnight. They're the bands who've turned up for half an hour. They hope that maybe there's enough people going to be there at the beginning to see them, and that could be a brilliant band. That could be the next one you're really going to get behind, couldn't it?
Yeah, and also because they're young and because they're new, not young, because they're new and they're out to make an impression, etc. We've had a few instances at our club nights, forget the genres or anything like that, where the performance of the support band has been better than the headliner, because they've got the they've got the oomph and the balls to really want to try and impress the people.
More enthusiasm.
Yeah, more enthusiasm. That's right. I don't know where I was going with that one. It's discovering those new talents and the urgency and the excitement that a new band will give.
Harvey's got his hand up.
Why have you got your hand up, Harvey?
Do you want to go to the toilet?
One thing off the back of that I was going to say is, do you feel like, because I feel like this, like going up north, the general vibe of people that go and see live music, or just people in general that go out, they'll go out and just go to see a live band, or just go in somewhere because there's a live band playing.
Yeah, definitely.
Rather
I've seen that.
Down south, it's a lot more, I'll buy a ticket to go see that band, which makes it a lot harder for a band that just turns up to play.
Yeah, up not what I've seen, again, because I go to Nottingham quite a lot, people will go because there's live music on. They don't really give a toss who the band is, because they want a live music experience. Whereas down here, I think it's who is the band that's playing, and do we want to go and see them? So, which is a different mentality.
Yeah, we were told by someone who there's a lot of local bands. They could put on the usual band they have on once every 2 or 3 weeks, and they pack it out because people like it. They're safe. They know what they're like. He said, we put on someone who we think is outstanding,
but nobody knows
no one to turn up because they don't know them. And that's what's frustrating.
Whereas if you did that up north, people will go anyway because they just want the live music experience.
And I think,
regardless of who's playing,
forming Indie Cult Club, I think, is helping that change, because I know from our social media there are several people who put, and I love it when they say this on the social media, never heard of them, but I'll go.
Loved them.
And
all right,
I'll go. Yeah. So I've never heard that band, but I'm going to go to Indie Cult Club night, and then afterwards, that was fantastic. So the people, so because we're forming this, I suppose, an atmosphere where you're part of the club, is a build up to it, because you can chat about it. There's the night of it, and then you can chat about it afterwards online. All together, people are starting to think, I'll come and see. I'll come to that night because they're probably pretty good, because Indie Cult Club put them on.
Good ones before.
Yeah, so I think there's more of that happening, possibly Chinnerys, due to the fact that we have got this build up to it. We've got one of our very, very good friends never goes to see the support band. In fact,
you know who you are,
and he just refuses. He doesn't want to do it because he'd rather go have a pint. There's no point. They're going to probably be rubbish. Sometimes they are. I mean, not at Indie Cult Club, they're not. But sometimes they are elsewhere. But you don't know, and you might just find something. Again, it's different genre. But when we went to see Faithless recently, Tin Liquor were on first. Never heard of Tin Liquor.
Oh my lord!
They're DJs, they
brilliant.
And now they've got several new fans and outstanding DJs.
Absolutely.
But if we hadn't have got there for that, we would have
missed out.
We may have never have seen Tin Liquor again.
And I'm now following them on social media.
So they are great. We'd love to see them again. So it's getting out to see these bands that you don't necessarily know, and certainly support band. Again, head feeder and space. People came for space.
Saw
Got there
head
early, said
feeder.
head feeder. The response we've had again for the head feeder, how enthusiastic and how tight they were, and a bit old school, weren't they?
Yeah.
Really, that was again. That's encouraging. They got some new fans, so it's very important to get out early and see some of these bands.
And we've discovered Keeley, another
Yes.
great band. Is Dirty Blonde, another great
Great
band.
band.
The Kairos, who we're going to go see tonight, we discovered them as a support band with us.
Yeah.
So there are more awesome. We've had more awesome support bands than support bands that aren't that good.
Yes. We've
A lot more.
got Sanctuary of Praise supporting the Horrors.
Couple of weeks.
They're not our support band. They're brought on by the Horrors. We don't know what they're going to be like. We never heard of them, but there's 400 people there. We could all come away going,
Apparently, I saw somewhere that one of the Horrors members, it's his current favourite band.
all right,
Which
okay.
is why they're on the tour. They're only doing 2 dates, one with us, one in London, but they were specifically picked because not Farrett, it's one of the other guys,
Yeah.
is their current favourite band.
Cool.
So look forward to seeing what that's like.
That'd be great. So that's our next club night, and 400 people packing out.
If you haven't got a ticket yet, it's too late.
Too late indeed. I think that's probably it for now.
Snooze, you lose.
We will probably carry on chatting whilst Harvey sneakily records us, and we'll probably say something we shouldn't. But for now, thank you very much.